Hello and welcome to the Genlock podcast. I am a strong, independent woman who don't need no man, but I could use more Patreon support on mediocrity.
Oh no. Um it's me, high powered, and it makes me wish that we were shown what VR chat can and will be one day. But until that time, we're just stuck with a bunch of autistic knuckles running around and clicking autistically at each other.
I am excited for Overwatch League to start up again, as basic bitch as I am, and I am here to reaffirm that Cammy is best character in this show. I am Dude What the Heck.
Last time on the Genlock podcast, our hero, Coop, was extremely confused as to what the fuck was going on. But now, will he be able to parse out what fucking information that we've actually gotten? Find out this time.
And I do believe Dude has a public service announcement for everyone, so
Yes.
we will hand him the floor.
So, if you guys have watched this podcast more than once, which Coop definitely has a fan base already on this podcast, and
I'm a
deservedly
very
so.
charismatic individual.
Deservedly so. So we've been kind of using different names for different characters. So we decided after the last podcast, we have an official name sheet for us to use, and you guys can feel free to use them in the comments as well. But for people that aren't sure who we're talking about, because some of them don't seem related at all to the characters' names or anything, I'm going to do a rundown real quick, and perhaps we could even post this in the comments of this video to show when we say a name, this is who we're talking about, okay? So
I'll actually make a tweet about that right now.
there you go. So Julian Chase, that's the main character, played by Michael B. Jordan. His name is Chase Blackman. That is what we call him. That is his name in our podcast. Miranda Worth, which is Chase's ex-girlfriend, played by Dakota Fanning. Her name is Dakota Fanning because that's what she is.
So creative we are with these.
We are creative, but she's boring, so she gets a boring. I mean, that's what to me. That's the way I interpret the name Chase Blackman too. Like you have to remind people that he's not white.
Well, it's boring, but in an interesting way.
Yeah.
Is the thing.
But Miranda Worth is just so boring. All I can think of is she's just played by Dakota Fanning. I can't think of anything else about her. Cammy McLeod. Her name is Cammy because she's awesome, and she doesn't need a shitty name to make fun of her because she's the best character in this fucking show. Kazu Lida is Kazoo because that's what they call him, and that's actually kind of funny. So we're gonna call him Kazoo.
It's on point.
Yeah, it's on point.
And also, he's pretty dope too.
Yeah,
So,
he's
like,
actually kind of dope. Yasmin Madrani is just Yasmin because Yasmin is hard to say, so we're just gonna call her Yasmin. And I actually kind of like her now. She's kind of just the mom of the group, and I like that. Valentina Romanishin is Sombra because let's be real, she just looks exactly like Sombra. Dr. Rufus Weller, he's the second awesomest character in the show, but because he's played by Doctor Who, and he's still a doctor and he's still British, how could we not call him Doctor Who? So his name is Doctor Who. Colonel Raquel Marin, I don't know how you pronounce that. Her name is
it Marine?
Yeah, I don't know.
Ari?
It's not a last name that I know of well in Hispanic culture, but her name is Generalissimo Chancla, or just General Chancla, because she lays down the law with her by metaphorically throwing sandals at everybody else. I actually kind of like her too. Unit leader Leon August. That is the guy, if you watched this last episode, he's the guy played by Gray who keeps talking, but you don't really know who he is. That's kind of who he is. He's the guy in the mini mechs that isn't banging Dakota Fanning right now.
Also the man with the most generic name for a billet that I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Unit leader.
Yeah.
Like, what unit is he leading?
He's
Is
also
he a
the guy
platoon
that-
sergeant? What the fuck's going on?
Yeah, he's also the guy that Doctor Who specifically said, "Oh, take a look at Leon here. If he had been younger, he would have been, in the program."
Which, as a man over 25, I identify with.
Yeah, his name is Virgin Smalldick, and it's spelled Smoldick. And then Miles Luna is Miles Mexican, because how could we not call him that? Miles sometimes trying to do a Mexican accent, so he's Miles Mexican. And then Jody Brennan, that is the guy that Dakota Fanning is currently banging. His name is Chad Thundercock.
I can't get over the fact that they actually named him Jody. It's fucking. It's so
There's a
fucking
part of me that
funny.
makes you want them to think they did it on purpose, but there's another part they're like, yeah, Jody's fine.
I don't know.
the
Like,
person-
it's
I
a
could see the
relatively
person
common
that's-
thing. I could see somebody at RT having a friend in the military and who had told him that or something.
Yeah.
And the tweet is posted.
Nice.
So if you're watching this and you saw my tweet, now you know when we recorded this podcast.
Oh,
So if you
that's multimedia shit there. We're synergizing.
if
Multi-level marketing.
we will add to this list as new characters come into the show, so it will update the list, but that's what we're doing with this show. Anyway, so we had an episode, and it was mostly good, I thought. And then there was one part that was just really, really bad, and we'll have to talk about that, because I'm sure it's something that the show was very proud of, but they actually did a shit job with it. Not unlike some episodes of Ruby and Red vs. Blue.
So, the episode essentially opens up on a montage. This episode.
Which I thought was actually alright. I kind of liked that they were able to show stuff that's going on and gave us information over that, so we didn't have to just sit through at least we got two types of exposition jumbled into one thing, and that helped. And I also like that a lot of the montage things, one, we got some good information, like when he's talking about the uptime and the overcharging and all that stuff.
Yeah, I
That's good to
actually
know.
wrote down notes on all of that so we could go through each of the things that we learned about how to do that. So we've got uptime. That's the time limit for how long you can keep your brain in the egg scrambler without it getting too scrambled to go back inside your brain. There's overclocking, which lets you scramble your brain super fast so that you have super good reaction speed stuff, but it scrambles your brain up faster, so you have greater risk of not being able to go back to your brain. If your hard drive disk that contains your brain on the robot gets smashed or like scratched up or like gets dust on it or something, then it can't go back in your real brain, obviously, and you'll just be dead. And obviously, there's also the telepathic communication via Bluetooth headset thing that they have going on in there as well. And that's basically all we learned, in addition to the fact that you can get too old to put your brain in the egg scrambler. So that answers one of the questions we had from before as to whether or not Doctor Who can put his brain in the egg scrambler. He cannot. He's too old.
And it's
So the question is if your brain eggs get scrambled too much, do they turn into mayonnaise or do they turn into the white stuff on the lemon meringue pie?
Well, I would think that maybe like you just like your personality changes and you become like ultra scrambled into like a different, perhaps evil person who's also stuck
What if
inside
this
a
is
robot
all just an
forever.
allegory for puberty?
Maybe?
Second puberty, because they're all like between the ages of 17 and 20.
Yeah.
20 what?
Yeah. I'm not feeling that allegory, actually.
25, I think.
Yeah.
Is that the? I don't know what.
I don't know what
is.
the limit is, but like, that seems right. So I'm gonna say that until we get some confirmation on the edge.
Now watch them say, "Oh, the cutoff age is 30," but then they're going to have a 40-year-old Raven Bronwyn also piloting a.
Oh, I'm sure they're gonna break these rules, but it's still at least nice to get them in some way.
We upgraded
And-
to the new Windows firmware.
Yeah.
And it's nice to get them now instead of, through a separate thing that isn't the actual show. Gee, I wonder what Rooster Teeth show also did that. But it's nice to have it like that, and it's nice to not have each thing separate. Like, we just get all of that at once, so we can see.
Yeah.
It's streamlined, and I like that. And the other thing that I liked even more, though, was that during this montage, we got some insights into the characters without even words. We got the whole thing. Cammy sleeps in too much. Kazuya
cooking.
Kazoo likes to cook, and he's good at it apparently, and he's actually being nice to everybody now, and he's actually not just being boring and lame. And now there's only one boring and lame character left, and that's Sombra, of course. But at least Kazoo isn't like that anymore. And then, so it's nice to see those kind of things happening, and get a little bit of insight into the characters without having to do dialogue. It's like, it's nice to see that in this show. Why couldn't they have done this in other shows?
I do like too, like during the montage, whenever Chase Blackman burns himself out while he's overclocking, because it still kind of keeps that like, I'm a fighter pilot, so that means I'm better than everyone else. Proceeds to trip over his own ass.
He's still got that hot shot mentality. He's still that all-American guy, We have to remind the audience of that.
The need for higher processing speed.
Wait, didn't we also get confirmation that like his he doesn't know if his parents, his mom and his sister are alive or dead?
Okay. So what we got was we saw like a thing of his sister in the background when they do the weird VR chat thing.
Yeah.
He also said that they're gone.
Yeah. So like,
and then that's in the scene after, or no, that's before. That's before,
that was before we saw.
That's before the
yeah, that
was that is
VR
before
chat
the VR
thing
chat.
is right in the middle of the episode.
Yeah.
My confusion comes in. So because it's just like a blank avatar or whatever that's in the thing. It says like user login, like she's just stuck there. Like she paused the game and then
She's
never returned to it.
T-posing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes me just. It's one of those details that, like, when you see it, you start looking for other details and start noticing how broken some of the stuff is.
Well, who cares? We'll
Because
get to that
is
when we get to it.
Yeah.
But anyway, like, so yeah, pretty much like directly after the montage thing where we learn all the stuff, which like I liked. It was fine. We get to a really horribly, terribly awkward and cringy scene between Chase Blackman and Dakota Fanning, wherein he attempts to spit game, as it were, and fails not as miserably as you would expect a man with no genitals to, but like.
But it also proves that these hoes ain't loyal. Also.
Yes. Guys, we are reaching hoe disloyalty levels that shouldn't be possible, to be perfectly honest.
Ooh, I just found out the Jets are gonna hopefully release their shitty running back Isaiah Crowell. Sweet. All right, sorry. He's been garbage for them. I don't know why they even signed him in the first place.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I don't know if they should get Le'Veon, but still, better to get rid of and not pay Crowell, who's been crap. The thing is, it's every time those two talk, my brain just turns off. They're so boring. There's no chemistry. They were like kind of okay in the first episode, but I think that was just riding the high of them with the mom and the sister. That was where the chemistry kind of was. I don't think it was actually between them, because every time I see them talk, I just don't care what happens between them. And as you guys know, I'm the guy that's like, I love relationships. I love shipping. I am the hopeless romantic. You guys, especially the guys on the Ruby podcast, know this. And so I want to feel that way, but I don't. They're just so
If you want to speak about the inverse of that conversation, is the conversation between Cammy and Miles Mexican.
That conversation was great. So good.
If you want to see the actual inverse of like two characters where like, and Miles' voice acting outside of like sliding in and out of accents and not having an accent, like the delivery between the two was on point.
It was
like, and it's like, oh hey, it's like the legs are just too tall. I'm sorry that I'm a woman lit and I'm like 5 foot whatever.
So sad. Why
so
do we
sad
live in
as
society?
Like the 3D printers going off in the background, and Miles is like, yeah, here you go. Here's the access codes. Here's all the stuff. You could just, there you go. Have fun with it.
I like Miles' character, and he emotes well. If he didn't, if he wasn't trying to do this weird hybrid accent sometimes, I'd have no problems with his voice acting, and he would be actually, even with that, I still think he's doing a better job than Michael B. Jordan and Dakota Fanning playing Dakota Fanning.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think so, because at least he has emotion, and I'm interested in his character, and I'm interested when he's on screen. The other, I just bored bored to tears and same thing with Sombra. Sombra bores the hell out of it's just boring. So at least he's doing that well, and I like the interaction. Again, every scene with Cammy has been interesting in some way, and I like her character. The thing I noticed is she's proactive. She's got character. I mean, she's the one who sleeps in. She's overly hyper. She's kind of naive. She's not good with weapons. They've given her character so much already, and she's always trying to get the team to do stuff. She wants to hang out with people. She wants to, actually do shit. She wants to go gaming. She's the only one who actually made her avatar in the game interesting in any way. Like she's the only character with character. That's not anymore.
We're having a discussion about being gender fluid whenever people are ignoring the literal furry in the room, right there.
Yeah,
the furry is there, but we are ignoring this.
But see, I'm fine with that because
we'll roll it back to where we were at.
But at least like she's always, and she's at least talks to Miles Mexican. And says, "Hey, I don't like this," and then he helps her, and she gets stuff done because she fucking talks to people.
Yeah, and she's even looking out for Chase Blackman, where it's like, "Oh, I'm gonna come up with an idea."
Now hold on, guys. You're really saying that a flamboyantly gay man, a Mad Max reject, a black guy from the projects, and a member of the Umayyad Caliphate are not interesting characters? Come on. Start being more multicultural.
That is exactly what we're saying, though.
Well, I actually don't mind Yasmin anymore because they at least have kind of settled her into the mom role, which I'm fine with that. Like that's actually okay.
Right? So if Cammy wasn't
she's
there,
not the most interesting, but she's definitely more interesting than Chase Blackman for sure.
Because honestly, the only thing about her that upsets me is that there are still Muslims in the future, and they still haven't established a global caliphate. I mean,
God, it's like they already
maybe that's what the union. Maybe that's what the union is. I mean, we do know that Yes used to be part of the union.
That's what I'd be doing if I was the union.
That's what it would be if I was writing.
Also, the long hair did look cooler, but
I just want to say
I agree there.
I wanted to say this about Cammy. This was her episode.
Mm-hmm.
I feel. She was the glue that held this together because my first time watching this, one of my main problems with this is it's part of the higher standard I'm holding the show towards compared to other Rooster Teeth projects, and the episode just didn't feel cohesive. It felt like a series of events rather than an organic story. And Cammy is the closest thing it does to avoiding that problem. It still runs into that problem. If it didn't, then I wouldn't have even noticed. But the fact that we're with Cammy the entire time in this episode. Like the last two episodes, they were more about like the team, the group. The first episode was much more about Chase and Dakota, Chase Blackman and Dakota Fanning. Whereas this episode was just all about Cammy. She gets a little bit of kind of not so much one-on-one time, but like one-on-one moments with every single major member of this cast in this episode. There's the bit where Kazu gives her the egg. In the VR at the end of the VR chat thing, her and Chase are the only ones who haven't fucked off on their own. They're the only ones staying together. Towards the end, it's Yasmin who's holding her and trying to get her to calm down and stuff. And that is what this show. That's something that Carrie. I noticed. I haven't looked at the writing credits for the other episodes, but I did notice Carrie was one of the writers of this episode. I don't know if he had anything to do with the other episodes or not. But this is something I've been saying for years. This is Carrie's strong suit. This is Carrie's bread and butter. Is these kinds of character interactions, It's something that the show could always do more of. It's something that other Rooster Teeth shows like RWBY and Camp Camp need more of as well.
The fact that I forgot to mention that you're right. The fact that Carrie was a writer on this episode and did this, to me, is almost, it's like 85% proof that Carrie is the only reason RWBY is the only reason I can watch RWBY, honestly, because he is it's kind of proving that he's the guy that writes the good character interactions, which, let's be honest, like, that's the only thing that's kept RWBY going as a show. And it's been the best part of this show, Genlock, as well so far. So
unfortunately, it's
you,
also
Carrie.
kind of the proof that he's like not the one that is going to be solving any of the pacing and or plot hole issues.
No, I mean,
there's a few things that stick out in this one that are
agree.
Pretty stupid.
He still needs they need a professional writer to kind of, again, same thing with RWBY, they need a professional writer to just almost edit stuff for them and like, hey, you need to do this and you need to keep this in mind and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, at least there's that positive to Carrie's writing, which is nice. I mean, this has been my favorite episode. Yeah, I'd say this has probably been my favorite episode so far, even with the issues, which, I mean, most
Yeah, upon first viewing, I was like, okay, it's at least better than episode 2.
Definitely.
It's better than episode 2, and it's better than the second half of episode 1. I still think episode 3 was better. I still think episode 3 was the better episode, but I will say this is probably the second best episode of the 4, and we're already halfway through this season.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's kind of boggling me, because a lot of people, someone asked me earlier today, we were just, having random conversation. They were like, have you noticed anyone like hyping up Genlock? And like, I actually have. You get people like Glass Reflection and all these other anime YouTubers like doing these little like first impression videos of Genlock. So it is getting the hype. It is getting the marketing push. I don't think the marketing has been very good. It seems like every single time that Rooster Teeth has tried to like come up with like a catchy slogan, it's been what's the opposite of clever? What's the opposite of clever? Retarded?
Derivative? Uninspired?
Like the whole like the whole wait, that's illegal. From when it first dropped, to oh god, what the fuck was it just the other day that they tried doing? Like, this is what we think of you if you don't watch Genlock, and it's a gif of Cammy like flipping the camera off. Like, yeah, that's how you're gonna get people to subscribe to your
fuck you,
overpriced
potential viewers.
Yeah, that's how you're gonna get people on your website paying you money to watch a show.
Well, hold up, you guys. I was not interested before, but now that I've been flipped off, I'm suddenly extremely interested.
See, the weird thing about that is that's only funny to people that already watch the show and like Cammy and know what her personality is. So if you haven't watched the show, that like is really off-putting. Like, I find it, if I was watching that, I'd find it funny as me now that I watch it and I like that character, and she's But like, oh, another weird thing that bothered me is, why are they telling her to work on her language? They're fucking, aren't they? They're
adults.
They're adults, and correct me if I'm wrong, Coop. Military, do they give a shit about that? Like,
they're supposed to act like they do.
Okay, so that means it's dumb for him to correct her wrong language, then, right? Basically.
So here's the thing about it. It is actually retardedly funny. The number of times that I had to answer no when my drill instructors asked me, "Dude, the drill instructors cuss at you?"
As they're sitting, they're just like laser beam eyeing you. No, Commander, sir. And the drill instructor's like, "That's right, bitch.
That's right, you fucking bitch."
Pretty much.
That's funny. All right. Geez. Okay, so it's true that was dumb, basically.
Well, no, hold up. It's not dumb because, like, it is actually a bad habit. You shouldn't fucking cuss all the damn time like a motherfucking sailor. But, like, Yeah, it's pretty fucking normal
I still,
in a
I don't know. I guess part of it is like we finally have a show where they talk like adults, and then they're telling them to not talk like adults anymore, and that kind of pisses me off. You know.
Well, I think it was more they came up with the line of like, "Oh, I think I cuss pretty fucking well."
That was funny. That was funny. Again, Cammy.
Oh God!
Again,
Imagine if she was Australian, be like, "Oh, oi, mate, I cursed real well."
Nah, Scottish is better. Scottish is good. Is better anyway. Let's be honest. Sorry, Australia. I like Australia, but Scottish is even better. So,
I can never trust someone who lives up.
Yeah.
What?
To all of our Australian viewers, make sure your safety harnesses are.
Your punchline of your joke cut off me. Yeah, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, god damn it!
Yeah.
I said I can never trust someone who lives upside down. So stupid internet always ruining my jokes.
What was the episode of The Simpsons where they go to Bart versus Australia, and he goes down there and they have a device to make the water spin the correct American way. So the water doesn't spin the wrong way.
There's only one true right way, which is the American way.
That is true.
Dude,
Caca! Explosions!
Old Simpsons is so good. All right, so do we want to get to the ether part? I think.
I wanted to say something else about Cammy.
Okay.
Okay.
Not the quality of her, but like I'm glad that she's the first one to kind of get her own episode focus because she is the more lively personality. Like everyone else is like very toned down and serious, and she's the one who like really leaped out at us and the majority of the audience. Like you look on Twitter and Discord and stuff, and there seems to be a unanimous consent that Cammy is the most lively personality in the show, and so it makes sense for them to explore her character first. It's not like they're building up a character to be mysterious and then having her be the first one whose backstory gets explored, a la Blake.
Yeah, Blake.
Oops!
Yeah.
I accidentally clicked something.
I know.
My bad.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Good.
Yeah, that makes
but
sense. It does. I think that's the right choice, and it makes sense with her also being the most inexperienced, the least experienced, and the most naive too. I think.
Yeah, I'll have some things to say about that when we get
The second part of the
closer
episode,
to
right?
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's get to the ether part. So Cammy does finally convince them to play a game, which I like that it does relate to what happens in the second part of the episode. So that's good. I like how they at least made that connection. So she comes in and I don't know if she's literally a furry, but her avatar is a bunny rabbit, obviously alluding to.
Let's be clear here.
She has the rabbit ears on her for her like ponytail or whatever.
When the Inquisition comes for you, if you have a furry avatar, you might as well be a furry.
Then there you go. So there you go. So Cammy may or may not be a furry, which is fine. Best character. At least she had enough. Again, to me, I just looked at it as at least she has enough personality to make her avatar in a virtual world something besides just herself, which is something apparently the rest of the cast does not understand. I feel like it's weird that they just reinforced how boring the rest of the characters are. I don't know why they made that creative decision to like make fun of how boring their own characters are.
Kazoo comes in like full Hardogeo.
I like Cammy's joke.
Yeah, no.
This man looks like a character off of Fist of the North Star.
Yeah, he looks like a Fist of the North Star.
He almost
character.
looks like he should be a Japanese version of Metalocalypse, but kind of mech. It's weird, but yeah, like I like. But I think the way Cammy describes it is the funny. It's just like, Kazoo, did you really need to look more badass or whatever she said, or more tough? Which is true. Like, he just looks like himself, but even more hyper masculine. Which is like, okay, great. So that's not.
Which is also a low key compliment.
Yeah, it's fine, but it's like it's not that interesting. And then.
But it is good ship bait, and I do ship it.
Yes, I agree with that.
I
agree with both those
honestly would be
statements.
fine. Like, I'm fine with Kazoo. I'm even fine with Miles Mexican for Cammy.
Yep,
Like,
I'm fine
either
with-
or seems fine with me. That's cool.
Yep, I like both of those characters enough that, you know, Cammy would carry the relationship. So, next is Yasmin. All we know is she's wearing a hijab, but which is weird that she's wearing. I agree that it's weird she's wearing it in there, but not outside. But who really cares? Her long hair looks better, but again, she's just boring otherwise. She just looks like a normal person. Then who's after that?
Chase Blackman
Then-
shows up as himself.
Okay, so this is we have to talk about this. This is exactly what the biggest problems with the show. This is your main character, and he comes in a virtual world, and he's wearing a hoodie. And then when he's asked why he's boring enough to wear a hoodie, he says, "Yeah, gotta be myself." So you're saying, Chase, that gotta be boring as fuck. What? What is this? What?
Like, he kind of rolled up freaking
Oh my God.
Black Dynamite for all we care. That would have been
would've been
hilarious.
better.
I would have liked that.
I would have
been
liked that. Or if he showed up looking like Top Gun, I would have liked that. Anything would be
also
better than sneakers and a hoodie. What?
But
That's what every 20-something American wears these days. Also, it's in the future, and you're still wearing hoodies in the future? What?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Look at me,
hold
Media.
up,
You're a
dude.
basic 20-something. You're wearing a hoodie right now.
hold up. Okay. It's been 60
Yes,
years.
but
We
I
don't
am
know
also-
how
but
far
I'm
hoodie technology
wearing
has advanced
Darth Vader
in this.
So you're more interesting. Honestly, it's funny to like joke about it, but it is a genuine problem with this show and that character. He is such a nothing. And even at the end, it's like when they all leave and they want to go off and do something else. Okay, yeah, they're all boringly going off and doing something else boringly, but he's so boring. He doesn't even. It's not like he wants to game with her. He's just like, yeah, I'm still here. Like, ugh. Like, and she even says like when he's like, you still got me, and she's like, oh, I guess. That's that's what the audience thinks. He's such a nobody.
Yeah.
He's so boring.
I like what Fat Man keeps saying every time Cammy has a line. He's like, "Do you even need me? Do you even need me here, guys?" Cammy's just saying everything I was gonna say anyway.
Yeah, that's as much as I love Cammy, is how bored I am with Chase Blackman. Like, he's such a nothing character. It's like
Now, in Chase's defense, in this instance, this is probably the first time he has had the opportunity to wear like just regular clothes in 4 years.
How in the fuck has this been the only opportunity he's had?
I don't know.
He's been stuck in a tube for years, and there's internet VR chat
Yeah,
available. They might as well
exactly.
just let him do it and just mess his face up a little bit with like digitization or some shit.
that's
so
what
that
I
Yeah,
would
was
like
have
if
liked.
I had internet VR chat and I was stuck in a tube, I'd be erping 24/7.
See, the thing is, if
Uh,
I was in a
so-
VR
so-
chat
so you
thing
would be
like
like-
that,
yeah.
I might dress the way I dress in real life. But the way I dress in real life, 99.99999% of people don't dress the way I dress in real life.
Yeah.
I wear like
would-
Western hats and engineer boots and leather jackets and stuff like most people don't actually wear that. So
Not in
I'm
California.
I'm not that interesting, but my point is I'm at least more interesting than that. That's what I'm trying to say here. I'm not saying I'm cool. I'm saying at least I'm more interesting than Chase. Like, he's a nothing.
I would either be a jackalope or I would catfish dudes as a big titty goth girl.
And
I
even
would-
then, if I was in a VR chat thing, I'd probably just dress even more extremely. I'd probably dress like a pirate or like a fucking steampunk person or some shit like that. I don't know.
Oh, speaking
Yeah.
of
You know what I
speaking
mean?
of pirates, we now know the Rooster Teeth's next show that they're gonna do,
yeah.
which is gonna
But,
be pirate themed.
Possibly.
I'm fine with
Yeah.
that. By the way,
So-
I'm totally fine with that.
Pirates are cool.
Pirates are cool.
Yeah.
I'm fine with a pirate show. I'd be more excited about a pirate show than this because I like pirates.
So in this situation, rather than going full Mother's Rosario arc from Sword Art Online,
Yay.
I have anytime that I create like a character for like an MMO or any other kind of RPG, I always try to create one of my characters that I've created, like the Bloodborne playthrough I have on my channel. Um, I'm playing as Primrose Arc, my OC from Beyond. One of many OCs I have on that. And
Shameless
I can
plug.
keep going on as far as that. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's.
Plug it harder.
You have time for shameless plugs at the end, media.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like that's what I would do in this.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like again, I don't think I would.
That's
Everybody.
interesting, and also it also has the added side benefit of allowing you to catfish dudes.
So, anyways, then we get the biggest issue with this episode, which is the whole Sombra thing, which is how she plays as a guy in the virtual world, which fine, like that's not weird, honestly. Like the people do that.
I'm a
in
dude,
WoW.
and anytime I play a third-person game, if I could choose to have a female on the screen, and then stack mods on top of that, where they have the big titty mods and the big booty clap mods, then I start slapping those things on, because I don't want to be staring at fucking man ass the entire time whenever I'm playing. I want to stare at a hot piece of fucking booty. But no, I mean. And WoW, most of my characters are female because there's like bikini armor in that game, and with transmog, it's great. Life is good.
So anyway, what I was saying is that's not that weird. I mean, Hypard made it, still normal, but you know.
But fortunately, based Kazoo is on like such a high level of non-degeneracy that he does think it's weird, and so he fucking like just starts drawing weird
because of them
levels of
Japanese
attention to
traditional values.
I love how they're trying to be diverse, they're trying to be progressive, and yet they're still making the Japanese guy literally all of the Japanese stereotypes. They could not be trying harder to be racist towards the Japanese with this. It's hilarious how out of touch they are and how bad they are at their own wokeness. They can't even be woke right. Also, this scene is proof of that. This scene is proof of that. Because, in my opinion, the way they handled this whole gender fluid thing was garbage. It was fucking terrible. This was awkward as shit. I watched this episode twice, and I watched this scene specifically 3 times. I was confused as shit the first time, and I thought I would understand it more the second time. Nope. Watched it a third time just to try. Nope. Still don't understand what the fuck they were trying to go for here. It's bad. The way I see it, they're cheapening the whole thing, because I talked to somebody right before this podcast, and somebody who understands this way more than I do. Let's just say they're much closer to this issue and have more experience with this kind of thing and with gender and all that sort of stuff than I do. And
Dude's got a trap on the side.
And they mostly confirmed what I said, which is, no, that's not how most people would do it. It does seem like it's kind of cheapening it, especially for people that are like actually, they really do feel like they're in the wrong body or whatever. Which that would be much more interesting, and I feel like they could have executed that better. But having her just switch back and forth whenever she fucking feels like it, just feels like. It feels dumb. It doesn't make sense. It feels like it's cheapening it for people that really feel like that it's an actual issue, or for people that they feel like they're in the wrong body or whatever it is. Like if you are a guy who feels like a woman, or however you say it, whatever you want to say, I feel like, to me, my first reaction would be that's cheapening it. That's pandering. This is really awkward and didn't really make sense. And again, I'm fine with any sort of thing like this, or whatever you want to do.
As long as I'm not paying for it, I don't care.
But not just that, but if it has to actually do with the character and the show, right? Like, again, we'll have to reference Ruby again, but when they did they actually had a successful lesbian relationship. Pretty sure we all said they did a very good job with that, and it made sense.
And it was the right kind of boring.
It was the right kind of boring. It wasn't weird. It wasn't ham-fisted. They did a good job. This is the exact opposite here. This is awkward. It's confusing, and it feels patronizing. It doesn't.
And the way
The
that
whole
she
thing-
talks about it too, it makes it sound like she could just go to the she could literally walk into the character creation booth and then just flip a switch. And it's like, okay, I'm a dude now.
Yeah, but in real life,
Like,
and they
yeah,
didn't do
that's
a good,
what it. No, the way that the dialogue sounds like, it makes it sound like she could just go to the gender change store
Yeah,
and switch.
Yeah.
it seems like I mean, like, to be
Keep
fair, that
it-
is like the goal of it. I mean, if you can create a technology that allows you to do that that cheaply and that quickly and that effectively, like, why wouldn't you? To be fair, and if in the future they have that technology, then
I mean, whatever. Like, this is just me. Like, whenever you could upload your mind into a toaster in the future,
Huh?
gender goes out the window. Whatever
I
you're able
guess.
to
Yeah.
just like
No,
fucking
and
pluck your brain out of your ghost out of your body and put it into something else.
And see, the thing is, I feel like that would be fine. Again, it's still horrendously awkward, and it's patronizing just in the whole thing where Cammy says like, "Oh, it's not my place." Like, do you really like? Is it just me? I thought people wanted to be treated like normal people, and then she's like, "No, I have to be awkward now. I have to be like, no, I can't speak for you." When that's never been an issue before in this show or anything else. Like, why all of a sudden does that come up and it's like, oh no, I can't speak about this. Oh,
She
no,
could have
no,
just
no.
threw like an offhanded like cool. It's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, exactly. If it was just like, oh yeah, if it, I don't know. I feel like if it was just like, yeah, I mean, I'm genetically female, but I feel like a guy or something along those lines. If that's all it was, and so that's why I play a male character in games, and maybe I'll become something like that, or maybe I'll become a male, or I want to, or that's my plan, or something like that. That's why that would have been much more. I think that would have been better personally, and I think they could have done that better and more smoothly. This is just weird because they're kind of combining like the whole future tech thing, but it's not what we have right now. Yet they're clearly trying to be woke by hiring somebody who's non-binary, I think was the term for whoever they hired to play Sombra. And then they like talk about it, they start tweeting about it right when the episode comes out, like, oh, we're so proud of this, oh, this is such a big deal, like, we're so happy for whatever her name is to like help us with this.
They're just like, oh yes,
They're like, so
ah.
if it was more about like the technology of like, yeah, you guys, we can just do this now in this world, and all it is we can do whatever we want, we can change gender whenever we want in real life, whatever. That's one thing. That's kind of the way I feel like a show like The Expanse would handle it, because they handle shit better. But this, they're
Oh
more...
shit, I forgot I haven't made a Gundam reference yet.
Yeah, you haven't yet.
Don't worry, we'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
We'll get to
Yeah,
the Gundam.
We haven't
reference.
gotten to the fight scene yet, so
Yeah, that's when the bulk of the Gundam references will be happening, I think.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of bones to pick with that in
But
regards.
I just feel like they're trying to be woke, but then they're treating it like it's more of a technology thing, and it's cheapening the whole thing. Again, if I feel like if I was somebody like that, if I was somebody who was like a transgender, if I was transgender, I would feel like I'm being preached to. I feel like I'm being I'm a tool, and I feel like I'm being patronized here. That's what I would feel like in this situation, because
But don't you know that you can only be a token if people that are using you in their movie or whatever are not the woke liberal hipsters that are on your
Yeah.
side?
Yeah.
That's
It's
how-
okay whenever we do it.
Yeah.
Leftists.
yeah.
So here's my issue, and I understand that the whole trans thing is a very hot button issue, and I have some odd opinions on it because I don't fall on either side of the narrative, because I'm someone who firmly believes that something like that is a choice, but it's a choice be into you by shitty parents. If parents didn't force the gender stereotypes that these, like, male and female are not constructs, masculinity and femininity are, and when you have parents force these, like, oh, men have to act this way or women have to act that way, then when the person doesn't feel like they fit into that, it causes serious long-term psychological damage, and that's how people get gender dysphoria. That's how people start feeling uncomfortable in their bodies. It's not just gender either. You could look at it like at like health. It's one of the things that causes obesity. Like it's any physical
yeah.
thing that you don't feel comfortable with about yourself. It's because it was beat into you that it is not okay to feel that way.
Just look at Boogie 2988's story that relates to obesity.
Yeah.
Like he literally was like
Yeah.
horrendously abused by his mother. So like
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
like literally beaten almost to death. So and then she
Yeah.
literally fed him to make him fat so he would be more dependent on her, stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah.
So this is my humble opinion. I don't care, as long as I'm not paying for it. That's it.
Yeah.
Easy enough. That's my
Again,
libertarian opinion.
yeah.
It's like I don't care.
So
It's your body. You do it what you want to, and I just don't ask me to pay for
yeah,
it.
to anybody who thinks I'm just like shitting on the whole concept of it, I'm not, because like I said, I think I'm as a libertarian, do whatever you want as long as you don't force me to conform to anything that you want to do, you know. So I'm fine with discussing it. I think it's fine. It makes sense to do it now. It's a hot button issue. All of that I get. And that's the whole thing with like we're making fun of them because they're not doing a good job of it. If they did a great job of it, awesome. I would be impressed that they're able to handle something like that well, like they did in RWBY with the actual boring normal lesbian relationship that was well done.
Yes.
Do that. If they could have done that here, great. I'd be absolutely happy about that, and I think that would be very impressive that they could do that. But they're not, and that's why I make fun of them for Julie and Chase. That's why I make fun of them for Sombra, and why I make fun of them for Kazoo, because it's like, you guys are trying to be woke, and you're doing a terrible job of it. They can't they can't even push their agenda properly. Like it's.
Here's my thing, and again, like this translates to any kind of minority group, anything that would fall under the SJW umbrellas.
Anything that there's only 13% of, but yet makes up 50% of all the crimes committed.
No.
Darn, I was hoping we could avoid that, but we didn't. Let's get on to the Gundam bit so we could get up on another.
No, media
No,
has
I have to address this.
Yeah.
And I have to say that like this is I am someone who has child development textbooks. Like I have read up on child development, how the brain is formed, what kind of cultural factors affect people and how it affects people. That's where I'm coming from with all this. And a lot of people in these quote unquote token groups or whatever don't know what they want. And the people who the Anita Sarkeesians of the world, not to make her relevant in this discussion because she doesn't need to be relevant in any discussion, but people like her are hell-bent on telling LGBT people and black people and Mexicans and other minority groups what they want or what they should want. And so then you get things like this. Because I don't know if you know this, guys, but I'm going to read a tweet from Gray. And I posted this on the Discord a few days ago. Or, god damn, near a week ago now. Right after this episode dropped. Gray said, special thanks to @Asia Kate Dillon. Not only for taking the part of Val / Intina and delivering such a wonderful performance, but for sharing their insight and reactions to the idea of how this character could work, and to @Robin7Crows, who I don't know anything about, for serving as a series writing consultant. The only thing I know about Robin7Crows is that they are also gender fluid. They also claim to be gender fluid, and so does Kate Dillon, Val's voice actress. This is how these people want people like them to be seen, and that boggles me. Like, I work in schools. I work in a school in the city. Most of my students are black and Hispanic, and they are such wonderful people with bright futures ahead of them, and I love them all.
I work with a bunch of blacks and Hispanics too, and they're wonderful people who have no bright future because they joined the Marine Corps.
Yes.
But see, but that's the thing. It's because they joined the Marine Corps. That's the problem.
Yeah, they're destined to be a police officer or mall security guard.
Pretty much.
And when I've made this joke on Twitter several times, but like the idea that like this conversation has been sprouting up the last couple of Halloweens, but like white people shouldn't dress as black characters for Halloween or for conventions or stuff, or that like people who aren't in this very specific minority group shouldn't write or be this very specific minority group. You got people like Scarlett Johansson dropping out of that whatever movie because she got a bunch of backlash from the trans community because she's not trans. And she was going to be playing a trans character. I dare you to pick any one of my students and tell them they can't be Goku for Halloween.
Yeah.
I fucking challenge you to have them not tell you to fuck off if you say that.
Yeah.
And these are like 10, 11, 12-year-olds. They do know how to curse.
Yeah.
They will tell you to piss off if you say
Not
if you
well
say
yet.
that.
They still have yet to learn that.
Yes.
They haven't learned piss off yet.
Like,
They're
it's
still stuck on
such-
fuck off, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I almost like tears of joy every time that I overhear a conversation about like that some of my students are having about like Dragon Ball at lunchtime, or about Naruto, or like Adventure Time, or something else that like I'm into, and it's a source of pride for me.
The weeb tears are real, boys.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Another thing that the person that I talked to said is that this sounds like more of a political move, which is like the people that they said that people who identify, this is their words, not mine. Most people there are very, very few people who identify as gender fluid, even in comparison to people who identify as trans. It's a super tiny number. Like even like there's not that many trans people relatively compared to them.
Much lower,
gender fluid
much lower
is
than 13%, basically.
way lower. It's really, really small. So it seems more like it's kind of what media is saying, and that they're trying to tell people how to act and how to think, which I don't think is a good thing. They're trying to speak for. It's funny, ironically, they're trying to speak for too many people. You know, they're not staying in their lane, honestly. So
I don't know.
And
I'm more like, honestly, I'm just more interested in the mechanics of it. Like, I'd like to know what this crazy technology, the body swapping shit they have is, but it's not super important to the plot. So
I don't think so. And again, still part of the issue is that it's not an integral, or it doesn't seem like it hasn't been an integral or interesting part of Sombra's character.
Yeah,
that's another problem. If it was if they wove it into her character, then it would be a lot more interesting. It's not. From
you know what this
tell.
is?
You know what I mean? If she was an interesting character, then I'd maybe give a shit. But she's the worst. Before even this happened, before we even knew about this, she was the worst character on the show. She's by far the most boring, useless, pointless character in the entire show.
She's not like, basically she's just the Scarlet Pimpernel at this point. She's really just a complete hedonist and just like a slut for no reason, and doesn't give a shit about anything.
Yeah, which makes it even more tokenism, I feel like, because like that's the only thing about her character. Because before
what
this, we've
Sombra
gotten
did
nothing.
in this scene?
She's a nothing
Instead
character.
of reading the script, she just read the footnotes in the script. Because that's honestly what it feels like.
Yeah.
With that whole line, is just a footnote.
Like here's the other thing: if Cammy is like actually a furry, and they did something about that, which I don't know if they would, I'd be much more okay with that. Because guess what? We all like Cammy. People like her. She's an interesting character. If it was,
I'd like her less. I would.
I wouldn't care personally, as long as it's not hitting you over the head with it. But like they've already, okay, let's put it this way: if they just confirmed that was a thing, I wouldn't give half a shit. I'd be fine with it because they've done sort of small things in the show to do that, but they don't beat you over the head with it. That's her avatar. She wears the bunny ears even outside. She has bunny ears on her mech. All that stuff. If that's what that means, fine. I don't care. That's great. I don't give a shit. That's handling it well, I think, because then it's kind of just normalizing it. She's an interesting character anyway. But this is like Sombra's a boring character, and then this is like a tokenism thing on top of that. So it's just it really
anyway.
it threw me out of the show. It threw me out of the show when I was watching it both times.
I think we spent like plenty of time
Mhm.
hitting on the one of literally the least important aspects of this entire thing.
Yeah.
Um, let's move on, shall we? Basically, we are introduced to the fact that apparently VR chat is now an extremely tactically valuable strategic resource that is worth attacking with large numbers of expensive military equipment in order to take it down. Because, I don't know, the ability of people to act like furries on the internet is going to be the linchpin that is the key to the success of Union's plan. But anyway, it goes down because apparently, I guess they're attacking the Chinese server farms run by a bunch of child laborers that are running this thing.
And monkeys too.
Yeah.
Because monkeys always are fixing the servers.
And Generalissimo Chancla can't have that shit because she's got a fucking
She's
constantly...
got to catch up on her Mexican soap opera.
Yes,
Well,
that and she needs to harass her grandson about why he's not married yet.
I'm also sure that it's part of her contract to keep the fucking internet up for the people. I'm assuming, like, if she doesn't keep the internet up, she's fired.
Well, see, no, this is net neutrality taken to the logical conclusion. The government has complete oversight of the internet, and so when someone tries hacking the servers, they have to actually send in fucking mechs in order to try to clear things.
Man, what a future we fucking in whenever imagine the one kid who's DDoSing the internet and then a mech just rolls up and smashes his fucking computer? Fucking amazing. My tax dollars are being well spent.
But anyway, as far as tax dollars go, there's a lot of them being spent here because collateral damage is happening all over the place, even though apparently nobody lives here in this completely deserted area. I guess it's one of those I guess it really is just a Chinese server farm then, because they have giant cities in China where nobody lives apparently.
Yeah, no, I think they pulled a Batman v Superman and said that everyone had just cleared out.
Oh, did they? I didn't.
Maybe they dropped
I
leaflets.
So. Maybe my mind is just filling in plot holes on its own, but I think they did say.
They may have. I don't know. But what we do know is that the call goes out and our quick reaction force gets dropped in via giant airship in their big robots, which now have the sweet ass multicam going on for them.
The most aesthetic of the camouflages is the multicam.
Yes, anything that looks like gray puke is aesthetic when it comes to camouflage. But anyway, they drop in and start fighting the spider robots and whatnot, and we quickly realize that Cammy being afraid to use guns doesn't matter at all because the guns are fucking useless anyway.
Except for Sombra's, because Sombra's gun for some reason is badass and kills people.
Well, no, her gun, the biggest gun they have, doesn't even fucking penetrate the armor.
But it affects things somehow.
It hits them, it pushes them back, I guess. It knocks them over. Which punching also does, just at close range.
Okay, I will say this. I also like during this whole fight scene, the one thing that really brought a smile to my face was just how Kazuya was basically just like, oh, I'm gonna do what I saw growing up as a kid with the kaiju cartoons, as he's just grabbing cars, just hurling them at the spider mechs, just slamming them into the big mech. that
Yeah,
I actually like that.
realized-
I thought that was pretty entertaining.
Wait, can we talk about how you just called Kazooie as in like Banjo Kazooie?
That's a good one too.
That's a better name. I'm gonna switch it. I'm gonna start calling him Kazooie because I
Kazooie.
love Banjo Kazooie. All right.
But anyway, but yeah, okay, so first Gundam rant of the day, boys.
All right. Here we go.
So in Gundam, the mechs use guns as well, but the reason they use them is because they're actually effective. Like if somebody gets shot with a beam rifle, they die, they explode. Parts of the mech get like melted off and shit. You see it; it's amazing. It's very cool. But
What the
this-
Gundam made out of like a special metal or some bullshit like that? Like
Gundalium.
Gundania. Fuck, that's right. God damn it.
What's it called?
Gundalium.
Gundam.
Oh,
Yes.
that's creative as fuck. But I mean,
Yeah.
I agree with what you were saying before about.
It's a special metal that it can only be penetrated by literally any weapon that the Gundams use because that's why they use those weapons. It's like okay, imagine if you will that you have a tank, okay, and that tank has a gun on it, but it's like a fucking all it's got is like maybe like a fucking 30 caliber machine. It's not going to be able to penetrate the armor of other tanks. Okay? That's why you put a bigger ass gun on it. Like a fucking one of these
Like a
fucking-
smoothbore 100mm cannon.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like 102 or some shit. I don't
Or what?
fucking remember.
On what? On
But
Gundam?
anyway, no, like we're just talking about like tanks, which is like the closest
well,
analog
okay. The
that we can have here.
M1A1, the M1A1 had a 105 millimeter smooth bore,
Yes.
and now it
Yes.
has a 120 millimeter smooth bore.
Yeah,
and The
and then-
Brits have 120 millimeter rifled.
yeah, but the
That's
point
because
is
the
they,
Brits don't know how to do it right.
the point is they
Way to
use
go.
these things because they can actually get through the armor of the other tanks and kill them and the people inside. Like if you have, let's say, moving it to a more humanoid thing, adamantine armor made for genetically modified super soldiers in service to a decaying god emperor, then what you're going to want to penetrate those is a diamantine tipped fucking rocket propelled 25 millimeter round with explosives inside it that shot out of what is essentially a fully automatic rocket launcher. Okay?
We're basically just explaining the arms race. How the weapons get better, then the armor gets better, then the weapons get better, then the armor gets better, and it's just this game of leapfrog that ends never. That only ends until everyone is dead.
Yes. And one might think that because you have things like spider tanks, you would have a thing that kills spider tanks. But they don't. They just have cars and robot fists.
And then whatever the fuck the fucking walkers are walking around with.
Yeah.
And those don't seem to be too effective either. They honestly, all the guns don't seem to be super effective.
The thing,
'cause-
yeah, the thing that doesn't make sense is like they made it very obvious that it's easy for the Genlock mechs to kick the shit out of the spider tanks. So why did we have to see them like grapple? Why can't they just shoot them dead? Like, why not just make the weapons effective? What's the point? I could understand the weapons not being that effective if there was a point to it, but there kind of isn't. It's again another issue with Ruby, because like the weapons are not consistently effective, and why shoot bullets if the bullets aren't going to do anything?
Yeah, but you know what does do things is punching. And punching them hard. And that's the way they've decided to go with this, because while anybody who has watched Equilibrium can tell you otherwise, punching things is a more interesting way to make a fight scene than shooting them. Even though I would say that gunfight choreography is actually an underappreciated art and has a lot of cool things about it that a lot of people don't know about. But you know, like
So here's another thing I noticed too. in this, like during the fight scene too, is the first one, especially with the walkers, whenever they're like, "Oh shit, nanobots!" So they're like, "Everyone seal up," and then their suits are like, so I guess they've now upgraded to where just everyone's walking around in hermetically sealed spacesuits, which seems reasonable as at least a second layer of defense, assuming the cockpit is breached of some kind. I do
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
as a um.
I guess
The
when
one
you
thing
got
that I
flesh-eating nanobots, then like you might want to develop something along those lines.
the only other thing that I remember media and I having a conversation about this Saturday, whenever the episode dropped, and I was driving home. And so basically, Cammy sees the "We promise it's not Ava Unit 2 from Evangelion mech"
Mm-hmm.
roll up with its 4 arms,
No,
or
it's
Ava
not
Unit.
Ava Unit. No, Ava Unit 1 or Ava Unit 2 is the butler. Floof told me it's Baladriel. It's the Ava, or it's the angel that possesses Ava Unit 3 or 4, whichever one ends up becoming bad.
Is that the one that
Yeah.
almost kills Asuka, like for the 4th
Yes.
time?
Yes. Let me see if I can.
So here's the thing though. So like we got into
It's
like this
General
little bit of-
Grievous. It's a giant General Grievous robot that's
Yeah,
black.
we'll just call it General Grievous, just to keep it simple, because that's a more
It's
poignant one.
it's Bardiel. By the way, I am disappointed with the internet because I have not seen anyone making prequel meme with this scene yet, and I expect
Hello
better.
there,
I
General
expect better
Kenobi.
from you guys.
General
disappointed.
Kenobi.
This is why your dad left.
No, they only sell
This-
his
this is-
specific brand of
this is-
cigarettes in that one specific store that's really far away.
Yeah.
This is why your parents got a divorce.
Uh, so we got into this argument, and so basically the premise of the argument was, which I feel kind of leads into like Cammy's overhaul, like wanting to avoid violence, even though she knows deep down she's in a situation where she's gonna have to like kill people, either directly or indirectly. So basically, she's looking at General Grievous, and it's like, "Oh, Kazooie, that's a cool new skin you got. How many V-Bucks did that cost?" Or whatever the free-to-play currency is in Apex Prime or Legends or whatever it is.
I believe those are called gay bucks, if
Okay.
I'm not mistaken. And every time you buy one, it sends an email to your father declaring that you're gay. Using the account linked to your EA whatchamacallit thing.
Origin.
Yes, the origin.
So she's like, "Oh, hey, that's a cool sit," as she's sitting there menacingly walking towards her closely, and then it unleashes nanobots. So
I do like that.
basically, I was talking to media, and I'm gonna bring up a game I play a lot, which I mention every once in a while on this podcast, which is a game called Escape from Tarkov. In that game, friendly fire is not only on, it's on to the extreme. There are maps which are rather large, especially if you're playing with a squad. The most important thing is there's two things: is how well you can communicate with your squad members, and map knowledge. If you're walking around and you see another dude, and you don't know if it's friend or foe, if you haven't been talking with your buddies, a lot of times you'll sit there and stare at the person for like a second or two, and then the shooting starts. So I feel that they could have made this scene a little bit better if there was that pause, and then Cammy started shooting, but like just panic shots and not really to have effect. But there's like almost a minute of her just sitting there like talking on the radio, like trying to figure out what the abstract fuck is going on.
Well, here's the thing. Why can't they
Which
just
I
have
feel
a
was
little-
honestly just padding.
Yeah, why can't they?
Something that media brought
Yeah.
up too.
Yeah, why couldn't they just have like a little GPS mini map in like the top left hand corner
They
of the
do.
screen?
They do.
Okay,
The thing is,
The thing is, Chase does. So why doesn't anyone else? else. And
Yeah.
this is my problem, and I'm also going to explain why I think this problem even exists. It's padding. It goes on way longer than it has to, and I think the reason why that time limit, that time span, that runtime.
It's that we want to be an Adult
They are
Swim
saying
runtime.
we want to be on an actual TV show runtime, and we've never done anything like this before, so we have no idea what we're doing. And so when we run into a situation where like, oh crap, with these preliminary like storyboards and animations and all this dialogue, we only have 18 minutes of runtime. Let's drag something out with very repetitive dialogue and just loop it for 30 extra seconds here and there.
It does have the knock-on effect of making Cammy look stupid, though. Like, really,
Yeah.
really dumb.
Yeah. Which I don't like.
Yeah.
And then the
Because
fight begins.
it makes her look
Yes.
unnecessarily stupid. It doesn't make her seem like doesn't even make her seem timid or like an inexperienced. It makes her seem like anybody would know better. I feel like.
Yeah, legitimately, if like somebody doesn't respond to the challenge first time, you light that fucker up because that's a Viet Cong.
Yeah, especially she's in. Yeah, I think that's pretty obvious. So.
When you're an American and the tree starts speaking Vietnamese.
Her fortunate son stops.
We just want to kill more people, guys.
How many people don't understand how many people don't actually know what that song does mean?
Isn't it like a song about
Well,
like the people who were able to like get out of the draft because like they could afford to like weasel their way out of the draft?
Yeah.
I mean, like if you're a Vietnamese rice farmer, it means duck.
And so does Flight of the Valkyries too.
That's a death of the author interpretations. Original intent is meaningless. It's all about how it makes you feel, and if it makes you feel anything, that means it must be good.
It makes them feel the searing heat of napalm searing their flesh off. That's what I think it makes them feel. So
Napalm Stick to Kids plays faintly in the background.
Yeah,
which is an anti-war song.
Yeah,
that's getting saved.
But anyway, the giant black.
Yeah,
you
actually, because
yeah, you go first.
Subject, because I just want to say, if you're creating something and you run into a situation where you have to decide whether to give someone too much or too little, give them too little. Leave them wanting more. Leave them to fill in the holes themselves. Because when you wear out your welcome, that's when you lose your audience. When you drag things out, that's when you become the One Piece anime.
Yeah, because in fairness, with a lot of the characters that we had initial complaints about, I like Kazooie now. I like, I kind of like Yasmin now.
Well, he's
even though
right.
at the beginning,
like, he's not like
full but at least
status.
Yes, true. But at least I have at least hope now that they'll give more to those characters, because after those initial first 2 episodes, they did give a little bit more, and they're kind of giving a little bit more and more to those characters. So I'd rather them do that than, that's why I can kind of understand that leave them wanting more. If they do give enough to these characters eventually, then I won't complain about it being a little boring in the beginning as much.
Yeah. But anyway, getting back to what I was about to say. So, the Black General Grievous mech dispenses with all pretense, doesn't even carry a gun, because who needs them? They're just extra weight, really.
Fists are more powerful anyways.
Yeah, and he's got 4 of them, so he's like really playing the meta here. If you, it's a fist-based meta, you guys.
They're gonna introduce a new character. It'll balance everything out. It'll be fine, guys. Don't worry. Our Genlock MOBA game will be balanced in a few weeks.
He's running Goats Comp and Overwatch.
Yeah. But anyway, he just walks right up to Cammy. She shoots him, does nothing, as per usual. grabs her ass, and begins slowly crushing the skull of her robot, which freaks her the fuck out.
I will say this:
As it
Cammy's screams were on point.
Yeah,
They were
that's what I was
unsettling.
gonna say too.
They made
It
me
was
feel
very unsettling. The
I
beginning of
felt
that.
uncomfortable listening. Like, I'm glad I had headphones in whenever that happened. Whenever I was finishing
Mhm.
watching the episode at work.
And since now we know that if you die in the robot, you die for real, it's like an actual legitimate threat that could
Yep.
happen. Not quite bloody and gory or anything, but still pretty.
Wait, what? Wait,
Pretty
when did they
dangerous.
establish this? That if the or are we talking about if the
the-
core gets
the-
destroyed?
the core. If the
Yes,
core gets
basically, if
destroyed,
your
brain
detachable hard
dies.
drive disk takes too much damage or gets like scratched or something, you get your brain gets messed up in it, and it can't go back out of the edge scrambler into your real brain.
Yeah, then it's nice that they established that before this happened. That really helped.
Yeah.
With the tension. That's what I meant to say. Yeah.
Okay, so now I have a question for everyone here. So, in y'all's opinion, was General Grievous clawing at the torso of the mech, assuming that there was a soft, smushy pilot there, or was he going after the torso of the mech because he knew that's wherever the hard drive was?
The latter.
Well,
That's what I assumed.
Yeah, well, they already know about the
I don't
project
think
because they already had a spy embedded into it.
Yeah.
So, like, theoretically, they could know generally the basic gist of it.
Yeah, I don't think it really matters.
I mean,
because
either
that
way,
is-
he's getting
whatever
the
was
good
doing,
stuff.
that was going. Yeah.
He's gonna
Yeah.
crack that egg open and get all that sweet yolk
next,
out.
I do think next episode, there will be questions about where the fuck that thing came from, how was it able to do the things it did, and one question I don't think is going to get answered that this opens up is if
How?
they apparently already if they already have that kind of technology, what the fuck was the point of Sinclair?
He was
Yeah.
gonna be the guy that demonstrates that if you're not Genlock compatible, you die if you put your brain in the egg scrambler.
I mean, like, why did they send him to get a
To
hull on if they
establish that
already have
point.
the,
Yeah, exactly.
if they
There is no
they
point.
Well,
They
like,
needed-
here's the other question too. Oh God, what if
I'll-
Doctor Who's sitting there and it's like, I do remember one pupil of mine that didn't really like me a long time ago, and he's just sitting there, and then it's just like the little like as it goes to the flashback of like a
And then
punk.
and then he snaps and goes, Dooku.
No, and then it's
I was
literally
thinking,
like.
I was thinking of Red Skull from the first Captain America.
Oh God, no! It's literally shows like the younger version of him, and he's in a lab coat, but the sleeves are torn off. But
On the plus side, though, whoever plays Cammy fucking sold this, and it was actually interesting, and I was actually
Macy-
scared. And again, it helps that we actually give a damn about her as a character, so we
But
didn't want anything to happen to her.
But yeah, it does bring up the issue of why did they send the spy? Because one, they don't need to steal this. They already have a far more effective giant robot thing that they've already made, and it is clearly capable of disabling / destroying the Genlock robots. Two, that's pretty much it. There's no two. That's just it. That's
Yeah.
I don't. Why did they need a spy when they already have the stuff and it's better than the stuff that the good guys have?
Yeah.
Why did they need to steal?
On the plus side, though, at least we have something for them to fight that isn't like, why the hell should we care and like have any tension because they just beating the shit out of spider tanks with no effort whatsoever.
Yeah.
So that's a plus.
I mean, a cooler thing to do would have been the spy like try to kill the doctor guy or kidnap him to force him to work on their shit. That would have been a better motivation for him. Like,
Yes,
instead of
which
just
is funny
trying to
because that's
steal
what
the
that's what
stuff.
we thought it was going to be during the episode, and then it turns out it wasn't, which made no sense.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, that's still mostly shitting on episode 2 than anything else. It's not.
That was just a really bad one.
It was a really bad episode. So, and I'm glad that's what I'm saying. I'm glad this is all better so far. You know, that's why I'm saying it's okay that I'm for trying to forgive the show because at least they're giving some more characterization to the characters now. When episode 2, they're just they were even more nothings than they are now. So, I still think, again, it's more of an issue with episode 2 than it is with this episode. I think personally. And,
yeah, I mean, that's a lot of stuff does carry over from it, but
Yeah.
like, you have to approach these sorts of things holistically.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is still it's a legit question. Absolutely. I'm not saying you shouldn't have asked the question.
Can't make something that stupid happen and then expect there to be no consequences from it, for stupidity-wise later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm also just kind of slightly holding judgment to see what they explain next episode, but I'm expecting the consequence to be exactly what we're talking about, which is why the fuck did they have that scene with the fucking spy guy? I'm expecting.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they can dig themselves out of it next episode. There might be a way they can.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not judging it too
and
harshly.
I think this would be a really good point next episode to cut to the Union and give a human face to Grievous Spot, because he could be.
Don't you mean Grievous Chan?
No, I don't.
Yeah, unfortunately not.
That's for
Oh,
you.
God,
That's for you, Sock. That's for you, Sock.
The next episode is like the
That's
bot
a-
comes back, and then there's like the leader of the Union's just sitting there like looking at the readout, and it's like, well, this test went surprisingly well. It's like we weren't expecting to kill any of them, but we critically damaged one at least. As he sits
Yeah.
there and twirls his mustache, sips his coffee, and it's like, all right.
It makes America great again.
And then
Oh,
the real Sinclair gets out of the tube or whatever, and he's like,
Oh,
all in a
that would be
day's work.
good. That would be good. Because he's still in the credit.
Yeah.
Sinclair and Blaine Gibson is still in the
Is he
credits.
really?
I don't think they had his name pop up in this episode, but I just can't remember, and I don't.
When
care enough to...
you have a body double and you're a double agent,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or would he be a triple agent?
No, he'd just be a double because he'd be the double. Well, hold up. No, he would be a single agent actually, just because like he would have been a. Fuck. I don't even fucking know. It depends on how they use him.
This sounds like one of
I
those
think that'd be
news.
cool though.
This sounds like one of those news stories. Whatever, like the ATF, the CIA, and the FBI all set up a sting operation, and they all catch each other in the same honeypot.
Yeah. Pretty
And then
much.
it's just the image of the Spider-Man where it's like they're pointing at each other. One has a CIA hat and the one has an FBI hat on.
We have communication. Left hand knows what the right hand's doing.
But I mean,
So
I will say,
is that where this episode is? Because she gets her head ripped off. Yasmin shares her vision with Cammy, which helps. And there are a couple little tidbits that are like, oh, they're kind of like addressing something with that, and maybe that'll come into play later. Like Yasmin having never tried doing the link sharing with Chase before,
Right.
or
Chase is the
Yeah.
reason why she doesn't want to link share with Chase is because he's too boring.
I think
that'd be my
I think-
reason.
I think actually the reason she doesn't want to link share with Chase is because she's afraid that she saw his link once and she thinks it's just way too big. She doesn't know how she's going to handle that massive link just getting uploaded to her over and over again. You know, she's just sometimes you scare ladies with the link. I'm sorry, guys. It's
Oh no, we got it in. This is the first time this podcast we got it in, but we got it in. We did it. Ugh.
it was a big link to get in, but we got it in.
What if she prefers Toon Link or Young Link though?
Oh no, we're
A
talking
link-
about the BBC.
It's all a link between worlds.
Ugh. Oh man, these are
Where are we
spicy
talking
podcasts.
about big jokes?
I thought we already established that Chase no longer had a link.
Well, hold up. This is a different sort of link entirely. Okay,
Does it matter when you could directly scramble someone's pleasure centers in their brain?
it does not.
Are we talking about the Orgasmatron from that one Woody Allen movie now? Or is that where we're going now?
Or isn't it like in Ghost in the Shell where it's like, oh wow, this is a really intimate moment between us? It's like our ghosts are
Sleeper.
touching.
Are we talking about Sleeper now?
I haven't even seen that movie, so I wouldn't even know.
Possibly.
That's a funny movie.
But yeah. Anyway, the link sharing aside, yeah, that's like
That's pretty much it.
a small.
Oh, another little bit that I thought was clever was whenever they go to like search the actual building, they just send in robots with fucking tethers on them. And I'm like, that's clever. I actually like that. That's cool. They're like, we don't know what's inside here. We're just gonna send in the robots. If the building blows up, we just lost $2 million robots.
Suck it, Russian hackers. It's a wired connection. Try to get in through my Bluetooth now, bitches.
Downloads Tunnel Bear to keep yourself safe on the internet. You can't find me through my incognito mode.
Not gonna catch me today. Korean scam artists.
No Indian call center, man. I'm not gonna give you my credit card information.
Alright, so my summary of this episode was there were some hiccups, as always, so far with the show. It's not perfect, but you know what? They did the exposition dump pretty well. I like Kazooie more now. I still think Sombra is a boring character, and she doesn't really have any character. And Cammy is the best character in the show, and she kind of is carrying this right now. She definitely carried this episode. And so, overall, I liked it. I still overall like this episode a lot. Her screams carried that second half of the episode. Her personality carried the first half. So I'm still enjoying the show overall for sure.
So I will say what I would like for the next episode is I hope we get Cammy being like, watch this as she unzips her, student trial of Fusion 360 and upgrades everyone's mechs, and she's like, I don't know if you wanted the samurai get up, Kazooie, but I gave you one anyways. And he's like, Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. And then
now he can bring honor upon his ancestors.
If Cammy is the one who actually designs everyone else's mechs, that will make one of my problems with some of these mech designs go away.
Yeah.
Because I was like,
it's
kind of racist that the Japanese guy gets the samurai mech. Like, no, it's because Cammy's just a fucking weirdo, and I love
Cammy's a fucking weeaboo, and she's like, I'm gonna give the Japanese dude a samurai mech.
I'm gonna make you an anime character. I mean even more of an anime character.
Oh, man.
I mean,
but
I don't know if they could possibly be more racist towards Kazooie yet in this show, so...
I hope we find out.
Yeah. I know, right?
My motto is, fuck Japs. That's it. That's all there is to it.
Oh. My motto is I wish I lived in... My motto is I wish I lived in Tokyo, so...
I just like to visit a few times.
Tokyo is awesome.
See the sights.
My motto...
Beat up old people. Because they traumatized my great uncle during World War II, so I got to get back at them. My ancestors demand vengeance. Just gonna find the last fucking Zero pilot and kick the shit out of him for old.
And then you get eaten by a sumo wrestler.
Yeah.
My motto is. Anytime I see something hot.
My motto is hippity hoppity, get off my property. T-Man who's renting an apartment.
Alright.
Alright. Let's shut her down.
Hold up.
plugins.
Is there
or-
anything else that we need to talk about? Let's make sure we went over absolutely everything.
Did we talk about the Ruby reference? Because that was
Oh
Oh,
yeah, we
yeah.
might as well. We might as well. It's real quick. They do a Ruby reference.
They forgot to color Blake's arms to match the rest of Yaz.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
And yeah, that was funny.
And then
Maybe
the
she
furry,
just has a
and then the
reverse
furry.
farmer scan.
I did
It's
like
been
I did like
years,
seeing
Seeing
guys.
Ruby as a
Don't know
furry.
how-
I did like seeing
This-
Ruby as a furry. That was the funniest part for me. I thought
And
that
that's
was
how
pretty
they
funny.
get you. And next thing you know, you're a
Yeah.
furry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is this just in a world where Rooster Teeth never made Genlock, and the fact that they are making Genlock is going to keep the Genlock future from happening? Because
Yes.
that's kind of pretentious.
Wow. But yeah,
That's
probably.
the most like
it's-
big brain thing we've said tonight.
You just blew my mind.
It's the only big brain thing we've said tonight. Let's be honest, and that's okay.
Honestly, I feel like I just got your hot link just uploaded directly to my brain there, because that's like some serious shit.
Stolen jokes are always funny. Is that it? So are we ready to plug in?
Yep.
We're ready. So I'm about to spread my hot links all over this podcast. To
It's all the
finish it
usual
off,
shit.
to,
It's
to,
been
to,
around a
to
while,
bring
you
it
know
to
it.
bring it to completion. If you like this video and you want to see more, like, comment, and subscribe, and consider supporting me on Patreon. Link will be in the description. Valentine's Day special will be up tomorrow when you're watching this. I'm actually almost done as we're recording. I can actually probably release it early, but I'm not going to, because I got other things I'm doing tomorrow night.
Lol, get dabbed on people 2
Uh,
days from now.
Also, yeah, and unless you're watching this in the future, of course, in which case it's already up. And for those of you watching it in the future, how does it feel like to still not have flying calls, you fucks?
Lol, get dabbed on
and,
us for living in the past.
I just love. I don't even remember where that line is from. Like, so you're from the future. How does it feel like to still not have flying cars? I don't even remember what that's from. Maybe someone can help me out in the comments below. And then read my fan fictions. Follow me on Twitter. Join the Discord. That's it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't have any plugins, so. And does anybody else? I don't think so.
Yeah,
Nope,
just
join the Discord and email us on rubyandbeyond@gmail.com.
yeah, just whip it on in the disky. Just tell us who you rep, Claver Thigh. That's pretty much it.
Yep. All right. We'll see you all next time. Adios.